She held a gun, but it wasn't the weapon that made her dangerous, it was everything she had already survived. June Osborne begins Season 6 not just as a woman who escaped Gilead, but as someone who carries the scars of war deep inside her. But in this season, survival isn't enough. She must fight again, not for herself, but for the future of her child, her family, and every woman still trapped in the nightmare she escaped. The world outside Gilead is not safe. Canada is no longer a place of peace, and June is no longer. The same woman we once knew. In the beginning of Season 6, we see June trying to live a quiet life in Canada. But peace does not follow her. The trauma still haunts her every day. She can't sleep, she can't relax, and most of all, she can't forget. Her husband Luke wants to move on, but June is still tied to Gilead, to the women left behind, and to the crimes that were never punished. Their marriage begins to break. They want different things now. June wants justice. Luke wants normal life. This emotional distance slowly becomes too wide to fix. At the same time, Serena is still in Canada, and her presence adds more danger. She begins to speak in public, gaining sympathy from Gilead supporters. Her words are clever. She paints herself as a victim, not a villain. June sees right through her, but others don't. People around June begin to question her actions. Some think she's being too aggressive. Some believe she should stop fighting. But how can she stop when Gilead still exists? The resistance is also falling apart. At first, June thought they were all on the same side. But power always brings conflict. There are leaders in the rebellion who have their own goals. Some want peace talks. Some want war. And others just want to save themselves. June becomes frustrated. She sees that waiting for change will take too long. Gilead is still hurting people. The longer they wait, the more lives are destroyed. She wants to act fast, but not everyone agrees with her methods. Then comes a moment that changes everything. A woman who escaped Gilead is attacked and killed on the streets of Canada. The murder is brutal and sends a message. It means Gilead's reach is growing. It means even freedom is not safe anymore. June is filled with rage. She tries to speak out, but she's told to stay quiet. The Canadian government begins to distance itself. They fear war, they fear the rebels. And so, June finds herself alone once again, but she doesn't stop. Instead, this loss lights a fire in her. She begins to meet secretly with other survivors. She builds a small group of women who are tired of being quiet. They don't want slow change, they want action. Each woman has her own story, her own pain. And together they begin to fight again, not with guns, but with courage, planning, and purpose. June becomes their leader, not because she wants power, but because she knows the cost of waiting. She remembers every child torn from their mother. She remembers the silence of the commanders. She remembers the blood. Her strength grows, but so does the danger. She's now seen as a threat by both Gilead and her own government. And that's when she understands this war is no longer just between nations. It's a war of stories, of voices, of truths that people want to ignore. And in this fight, June refuses to be silent. Not again, asterisk. She once stood in front of crowds with power in her voice and cruelty in her eyes. Now, Serena Waterford is no longer worshipped, she's watched. Her world is smaller, colder, and more dangerous. But if there's one thing Serena has never done, it's give up. In Season 6, she begins her slow descent, one that strips away her control, her pride, and finally, her hope. And the most painful part? She still thinks she deserves more. Serena's story in Season 6 is a mirror to June's, but covered in ice. She is living under strict watch in Canada. After the birth of her child, she tries to rebuild her life. She wants power again. She wants to be seen as a mother, a leader, maybe even a hero. But the world sees something else, a woman who helped build Gilead, who stood beside monsters and smiled. People don't forget that, and they shouldn't. She tries to use her child as a shield. She holds the baby during interviews, speaks softly, cries on cue, but it's not enough. Her words can't erase the past, and behind those tears there's still manipulation. She speaks about mothers' rights, about safety, about faith, but every word is crafted, meant to stir sympathy. Some believe her. Many do not. And June watches her every move, knowing exactly what Serena is doing. As Serena's life grows smaller, her fears grow bigger, the people around her begin to pull away. Her protectors see her as a burden, her allies begin to vanish. And the more desperate she becomes, the more reckless her choices grow. She starts secret talks, reaching out to those who still hold power in Gilead. She offers herself as a tool, thinking she can still be useful, but Gilead doesn't want her back. They see her as broken, weak, and most of all dangerous. The more Serena tries to hold on to her child, the more she realizes she is losing control. There are threats around her, legal battles, betrayals, even whispers that her child might be taken from her. And for a moment we see something real. The mask slips. Her fear is not just about power anymore, it's about being alone. She starts to panic. And that panic pushes her to take actions that hurt others just to keep herself safe. Flashbacks in this season dig deep into her past. We see how she helped create the rules that once hurt other women. We see how she believed she was right. And now we see her facing the very chains she once helped tighten. The pain she feels is not just physical or emotional, it's the slow, crushing weight of regret. But even in that regret, Serena cannot stop fighting for her image. She wants to be seen as more than a villain. She wants to be seen as a victim. But the truth is heavy. And it follows her everywhere. In one of the season's most painful scenes, Serena finally reaches out to June, not to beg, not to attack, but to speak. For a moment there is silence between them. Two women who have destroyed each other's lives. Two mothers who want to protect their children. There is no forgiveness, but there is understanding. And that moment shows us how deep and complex their stories have become. Enemies, survivors, women scarred by the same world. Serena's fall is not loud, it's quiet, slow, and terrifying. She loses not with screams, but with silence. And in that silence, we see a woman who built a world of pain, now trapped in the ruins of it. It started with a scream and ended with silence. In the middle of a bright day, a trusted friend of June's was gunned down in the street. No warning, no time to run. Just blood, chaos, and a deep, cold message. Gilead's reach is everywhere. This one death breaks the false safety that many in Canada believe they had. It marks the beginning of something darker, something no one can ignore anymore. The war is no longer behind walls. It has followed them into freedom. This brutal killing shatters the quiet hope June had begun to build. The victim wasn't a soldier or a rebel leader. She was a survivor, someone who had tried to move on. And now she's gone. The grief hits everyone differently, but it pushes June into a new state of mind. She knows now that no one is safe, not her child, not the others. The fight must return, louder and harder. But that comes with a price. The resistance starts to fracture more deeply. Some blame June, saying her bold actions brought the attack. Others want to go into hiding. Fear spreads fast and trust dies even faster. A few rebels want revenge, but without planning. They want blood, not justice. June tries to lead them, but it's like grabbing smoke. Everyone is angry, but no one agrees on how to act. And in the middle of it all stands June, strong but exhausted. Brave but bleeding inside. Meanwhile, Commander Lawrence begins to rise in power. On the outside, he claims he wants to bring change to Gilead. He talks about a new path, about peace, about progress. But behind closed doors, he is still part of the same broken system. His hands are not clean. He plays a dangerous game, working with foreign leaders, striking deals, promising mercy while allowing cruelty to continue. He believes change can come slowly, with strategy, but June sees through it. She knows that behind his calm voice are chains waiting to tighten. Then comes one of the season's most unexpected moments. Nick re-enters June's life not just as a memory, but as a real, breathing man who still carries a torch for her. Their meeting is full of pain and warmth. Old love burns just beneath the surface, but so does guilt. Nick is still part of Gilead. He is a commander now. He says he wants to protect June and her daughter, but every word he speaks feels like walking a line between two worlds. He is trapped, and June knows that loving him means risking everything. Attention builds one another. Rebel plan goes wrong. A secret safe house is raided. More lives are lost, and June is blamed once again. The pressure on her is crushing. Luke tries to help, but their bond continues to weaken. He doesn't understand the rage June carries. He wants to escape, to hide. But June can't. She refuses to leave while Gilead still breathes. Soon, news arrives that forces June to choose, either run now and save her family, or stay and fight a battle that might kill her. And while others flee, she begins to prepare, not for escape. For war, quietly, she builds a plan. Not with guns, but with people, survivors, mothers, fighters, the ones who have nothing to lose. She knows this might be her last stand, but she won't go quietly. The line between right and wrong becomes blurry. June begins to use the same tactics Gilead once used: secrets, fear, threats. Her allies begin to wonder, is she becoming what she hates? But June is not blinded by power. She's driven by love, by pain, by truth. She knows that freedom will not come easy. And she is ready to burn everything to get it. The violence is no longer just in Gilead. The streets of Canada are changing. Fear lives in every home. Cameras follow June. Supporters cheer. Enemies plot. And in the middle of this storm, one woman refuses to back down. A train whistles in the night cold, loud and full of fear. June stands near its doors, holding her child close, her heart racing not from the sound but from what she knows is coming. This isn't an escape, this is a gamble. Behind her, she leaves a life in ruins. Ahead of her, danger waits in the dark. The final moments of Season 6 don't offer peace. They offer one last test. And heartbreak answers. The final episodes move quickly but hit hard. June, Luke, and their daughter try to flee as Gilead's shadow creeps deeper into Canada. They are no longer just survivors, they're targets. The streets are no longer safe. The government is no longer helpful. And time is running out. The plan is simple. Get on the train, leave the country, and find a place where they can finally breathe. But nothing in June's life has ever gone as planned. Just as they reach the train station, chaos breaks out. Armed attackers move in. Gunfire. Echoes. People scream. Luke is separated from June in the panic. He doesn't run, he fights. He turns back to face the threat so June and their child can board the train. His last look at June is full of love, fear, and goodbye, and she knows this is likely the end. But she has to keep moving, for the child, for the future. Inside the train, June clutches her daughter, but her eyes are full of tears. She is safe for now, but at a cost she didn't want to pay. Her family is torn apart again, her heart is breaking again, and yet she doesn't scream, she doesn't cry out. She just holds her child tighter and stares ahead. Because the fight is not over. It never is. And then the most unexpected moment of all, Serena is on the same train, alone, holding her own child. She's dressed simply. She looks tired, beaten, human. For a moment, both women stare at each other. No guards, no courtroom, no cameras. Just two mothers on the run from the world they helped shape and the world that turned on them. Neither speaks. They don't have to. The pain, the history, the fire, it's all there in their eyes. There's no forgiveness, but there's also no fight. Not now. Not in front of their children, just silence. A heavy, powerful silence. They sit across from each other, rocking. Their babies as the train moves forward into the unknown. For once, June doesn't look like a rebel. Serena doesn't look like a tyrant. They both look like what they are: wounded, complicated women trying to protect what little they have left. The season ends not with victory, not with revenge, but with grief. June has lost her home, her husband, and maybe even her hope. But in her arms is the reason she keeps going, her daughter, a life she refuses to give up on. The war has followed her across borders, torn apart alliances, and taken lives. But it hasn't taken her spirit. As the screen fades, one question remains. What now? Will June rise again, rebuild, and fight once more? Will Serena finally change or dig deeper into her own survival games? And what future awaits the children born from both pain and resistance? Season 6 doesn't give easy answers. It leaves us in the silence between two women, two paths, and two babies who carry the weight of a broken world. It is not an ending yet. Is a wound left open, waiting for Season 7 to decide whether healing or more pain will come next?